Hey, Texas Values friends, Jonathan Saenz here, president of Texas Values. I'm on the exhibit hall floor, maybe that's the right way to say it, of the Republican Party of Texas State Convention here in San Antonio, the Alamo City. A lot of interest, a lot of activity, a lot of important decisions. There's a big race for chair of the Republican Party of Texas that really seems up for grabs. I don't know what's going to happen. That'll be decided later this week. But we're taking this opportunity to have some important conversations with folks that we interact with a lot, that we respect, and a lot of times are involved in our work. And somebody who fits that description is our good friend, State Representative Nate Schatzline from the North Texas area. Just finished his first session. Has it only been one?
I know,
You've been so active. But we're going to get into good conversation with him. So we invite you to put this out on social media, retweet it, share it, all that good stuff, as we get into some good discussion. So, as I mentioned, you just finished your first session. I know when you were elected, when you ran for office, and then when you were at the Capitol, you know, a big part of your work was the faith side, the pro-life side, and so you've continued that. Let's talk a little bit about why it's been important for you to get involved in supporting adoption and things of that nature because of your pro-life beliefs.
Well, I just want to say Texas Values is absolutely leading the way. I cannot thank you guys enough for everything you're doing as it relates to Save Women's Sports Act, everything we do, fighting gender mod, fighting for faith, family, and freedom. And so I got into the conversation of adoption when in reality I had been a pro-life advocate from the time that I was in elementary school. My first paper in English class, I think it was the 6th grade, was on the argument for pro-life. And so this has been a fight that we've fought, and in the process, my sister was adopted. We went through an adoption that was wildly expensive for my family, where my parents had to travel and raise funds from friends, and you know, the average private adoption in the state of Texas is $40,000 to $60,000. Wow. We have a broken foster care system that needs reform, so the foster to adopt process needs to be absolutely reformed. In the process, I just realized we need to lower these barriers for adoption. I currently sit on the board of a brand new adoption agency in Fort Worth, and we're working through how do we equip and resource families to be able to not just lower the barriers, but to allow middle income families to be able to afford bringing a child and giving them the value of a healthy home. And so, you know, $40,000 to $60,000 to adopt a child, but it's free to kill a child, which is just insane to me. And so for far too long in the Republican Party, we have focused solely, and it's good that we focused on it, but we focused solely on making sure that we push back on abortion, which we must. This is the hill we die on. However, at the same time, we don't want to feed into the lies of the left that say that we're pro-birth, not pro-life. We want to make sure that we're resourcing families, resourcing moms and dads that maybe can't have a child, to be able to say, hey, there are options out there, go rescue one. 27,000 foster care students in the state of Texas, 7,000 that currently do not have a home. That's a problem. We have the solution with our bill, the Adoption Assistance Program.
Yeah, well, and you know, unfortunately that bill didn't get across the finish line, but you know, there'll be another opportunity next session. I think it'd be a surprise if you don't return. Do you have an opponent in November? I can't even remember.
I do. Okay. We're in a battle.
So we'll keep our eye on that. But that is an important issue. We've got a great website where we're promoting that concept and that mindset and approach as well. LoveThemBothTexas.com. You can get connected to resources. You can get connected to adoption issues after the baby's born. A lot of great resources people can find. LoveThemBothTexas.com. Well, you know, I go up to North Texas a lot because I got two great board members, John Bean and Vince Puente,
awesome,
that are part of the Texas Values board in Tarrant County. But you know, they've been a part of this, but a lot of people have as well. Tim O'Hare, the county judge. I feel like there's been a resurgence, if you will, if that's the accurate word, but a lot of faith, family, conservative values that have taken now center stage or have risen back up in North Texas. I think you've been a part of that too. What does it look like from your vantage point?
Yeah, you know, North Texas is on the rise right now, and I think it's this. I think we've woken up people to recognize that there are actually elected officials that are going to advocate for what they care about rather than just the special interest groups or lobby groups. And we're not just going to Austin or taking public office so that we can build name ID or so that we can have a title by our name, but we're actually fighting for the grassroots. And we've seen that, like you said, through Tim O'Hare, which I believe to be the best county judge in America.
He's pretty darn good.
Pretty amazing. I mean, lowering our taxes at a level we've never seen, fighting for conservative values, even comes down to our GOP chair in Tarrant County, Bo French. Ultimately, we're looking at what happens in Tarrant County is going to affect the entire state. The Democrat Party, including the Biden administration, has put Tarrant County as a target because they know as goes Tarrant County, goes Texas, as goes Texas, goes America. And what we've seen is there's been a lie for past generations and really decades that Republicans need to pander to the left in order to gain more votes, when in reality we are losing our original base because we are forgetting about them and the values that they elected us to fight for. And so we're seeing politicians actually do what they're saying they're going to do, follow through, and actually fight for faith, family, and freedom.
Yeah, well, look, and it should be that easy. Unfortunately, it's not. Sometimes you got to put pressure on people, and sometimes you got to replace them. You know, there's a lot of talk about politics this week in the air. It's the Republican Party Texas State Convention, but we're in the middle of early voting for the runoff elections, and there are quite a few in this cycle. Today's the last day for early voting. If you're watching this is on Friday, May 24th, but on Tuesday, May 28th, is the main election day, so you still got time, but be careful. Don't wait too long. And a lot's going to be decided. A lot of House races where you serve, probably none bigger than David Covey versus our sitting speaker, Dade Phelan. Tell us what you think about that race.
So I have unapologetically joined with future and former President Donald Trump. I have joined with Ted Cruz. I have joined with Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, best Lieutenant Governor we've ever had, Ken Paxton, you name it, Sid Miller, Governor Abbott. And actually, Abbott hasn't weighed in on this, but
we're almost
we
there.
can only hope. We can only hope. But we're looking at a man who rose up and said, you know what? It's not business as usual anymore. We're not going to take our sitting speaker appointing social Marxists to important committee positions, and David Covey is the man for the hour. He is running hard. I'm proud to endorse him, and I think we're going to see really a red wave that's going to follow true conservatives getting elected. And that includes Cheryl Bean right there in Fort Worth with us. We need Cheryl Bean to empower parents, secure the Texas border, and make Fort Worth the conservative bastion that it deserves to be.
No, look, I mean, you're not alone. As you mentioned, you got a lot of company. People think those candidates are really solid. Full disclosure, John Bean is Cheryl Bean's wife. Texas Values does not endorse candidates, but our C4 partner group does, and Texas Values Action has endorsed Cheryl Bean in that race. I'm sure a lot of people are not surprised by that. But if you want a resource to use that it doesn't have endorsements, go to freevotersguide.com. If you're one of those Texans that said, don't tell me what to do, even though I like y'all, you want to make your own decisions, no problem. Go to freevotersguide.com and check out how the candidates have been rated, things that have been said about them, people that supported them, all that good stuff. So we're going to find out, though, pretty soon here if there's going to be another Speaker of the House. Tom Oliverson's already announced for that race, even though that runoff election's not been decided yet. So, Lieutenant Governor's talked a lot about that issue and a lot of attention on the state of Texas. I mean, I'm just curious, so, you may not know, but I'm not saying it's so unusual, but for the president to get involved in that runoff election, and even before I think it went to a runoff, what do you think that says about Trump's, recognition of how important Texas is?
I think our, future president, Donald Trump, knows that if we lose Texas, we're going to lose America. There's a fine line between losing our country for the next generation to a social Marxist perspective and simply saying, hey, we're going to hold the line and we're going to make sure that the world knows that Texas is going to stand strong. And I think what we've seen in Dade Phelan's leadership, I'm proud. I've never voted for Dade Phelan. I'm one of only 2 people that can say that.
That's true.
In the Texas
I was
South.
On the floor when that vote happened.
And
last
I tell
year.
you, it was tense. And
I was like, look at Dade.
Yeah, hey, and ultimately what it came down to is I'm going to have to look my children in the eye one day and say, Dad, did you bend a knee when the pressure was strong, or did you hold true to your values? And I knew that Dade wasn't going to hold true to our values. And so we see, as Dade Phelan's leadership and his team have come in, we've seen over and over as they have allowed the needle to be pushed back. And ultimately, if we're not taking ground, we're losing ground. And so what we see in, President Trump coming in and saying we need David Covey is he recognizes that leadership is right here from the top down, and we need someone. I don't think we need someone in that speaker's role, and I've talked extensively with Tom about this, that takes his heavy hand and says we're going to do this, this, and this. I think someone who's going to decentralize power, give it back to the members so that conservatives can get things done, that conservatives like myself are not punished for not going with the flow and opposing radical agendas, as well as things like the casino lobby, which I vehemently oppose. And when we go strong,
I'm 2 on that vote, by the way.
Yes.
That means no.
Yes. And ultimately, if we can push back on this, still get bills across the finish line with a speaker who's willing to decentralize that power and give the power back to the conservatives, I think it's going to be a great day.
So, okay, just because I made that little finger gesture, if people don't know about a new education program that we're starting called Texas Values University, I encourage you to check that out. It's going to be launching soon. And you might learn the fact of what does 1 versus 2 mean in the Capitol. I've been around that work a long time, close to 2 decades. So a lot of times when members are on the floor, they might not be close to their desk, and so when a vote comes up, they could raise their hand. If they raise their hand and they do 1, that means they're voting yes, 2 means no. So just a little inside information that you can pick up with more of that from some of our work. So, and it won't be long till we get to the next legislative session. Bills can start being filed in November. Everybody's going to get organized up at the Capitol in January. Our office is right across the street from the state capitol. But we're going to be having a policy event on September 13th and 14th later this year. A lot of it be preview of the legislative session. But we're going to find out, where is North Texas in a lot of this with some of these runoff elections coming up, several seats that'll be decided up there, at least at the primary level.
Right.
But then there'll be time to catch people up on what to expect. We're going to find out what platform items are and what legislative priorities are. We're pushing to say a ban on casino gambling and sports betting should be on that priority list. We'll see if that's the case. And so, but it's good to take time, have great conversations with people that we really respect and are part of our work. Representative Nate Schatzline's been our guest today on this special segment of the Texas Values Report.
Thanks so much, John.
Right here on the floor of the Republican Party of Texas Convention. Check for more updates from right here in San Antonio. And if you want to know all about the work we do, go to our website, txvalues.org. And that's how together we can protect faith, family, and freedom in Texas.